The 2016 Improved Production National Championships are proudly brought to you by Castrol Edge and Yokohama. Hello and welcome to the 2016 Improved Production Nationals, proudly presented by Castrol Edge at Phillip Island this weekend. We've got 36 under 2 litres on the grid as we take a look at Heat 1. 3 heats and a final to get through for this field as we launch away with the lights out. 2 escorts not moving at all there as the zero tolerance Sylvia tries to go through between the middle of them. That's Jeff Hansen at the wheel. They've just finished building that car, so he'll be looking to move through the field as it looks like Gavin Reynolds down the inside in the Civic. You can just see him on the inside of the RX-7 of Odell Fontana, sliding into 4th place as our 2 leaders Graeme Cox and Bob Jowett, the New South Wales drivers, lead the way. Sitting in behind them, Grant Gallen in the Ford Escort, coming down from Queensland to have a run with that one. As we come around for the first time down towards the chute, turns 2 and 3, and just look at this field. Everybody now getting into order as we take on board with Will Harris. He's behind his brother Brad as they come down towards Honda corner for the first time, looking to make a move down the inside. You've got Harris on the outside there in the Civic, Cooper down the inside in the Integra on the Datsun, number 88 car of Phil Morris. So Phil Morris losing out in the early stages as we go back on board with William Harris. He's got Ben Algie in front of him. He's looking to make his way forward as well in the Toyota 86 as we see this field coming through now on the inside. It's the number 21 of Troy Maven in the Ford Escort trying to get the job done on the inside of Hansen. I don't know if he managed to make it through as we go back towards the front and have a look at these cars coming across the top. Walden in the Mazda RX-3 just leading the way of this little angry pack. As we see the Vantage Automotive cars got Bohm up the inside in another Honda Civic. Definitely one of the cars you want to have here in this category, as Ian Price goes backwards in the Vantage Automotive Escort. He's had a good year in the New South Wales Championship and will be looking to consolidate that here this weekend. At the depth of the field, pretty much the top 15 cars are all quality cars that could take out this championship, so they need to just try to drive for points. As we see there, the pass, Gavin Reynolds getting the job done on Gallen. The Escort goes back a position as Odell Fontana now starts to line him up. We go on board with Gavin Reynolds. He's up into 3rd place. This car, a great car in national competitors, has often finished inside the top 5 for under 2 litres. So he's looking to do the same again this weekend, but the New South Wales guys driving away out in front as Odell Fontana down the inside gets the position done for 4th place in the race. Here at the Castrol Edge 2016 Improved Production Nationals, a long way to go as he slides the car out of Honda corner. You can see we are on to lap 2 of 5, so very short sprint races here for these guys. Looks like we've got weather out at Siberia as the 69 Alan Saint Datsun 1200 Coupe, the Vic Dyno hire car, tries to chase down Dave Walden, and you can see now this group joining in behind as we go on board with Will Harris, sitting in the Suzuki Swift just behind his brother. They've caught up Ben Algie in amongst this as well. He looks like he's just behind Cooper trying to get past him. So these guys battling for 8th through 12th in the race at the moment. You've also got Peter Casato here there in the Ford Escort. He's just sitting in just outside the top 10 as we see Harris trying to go to the outside now of Alan Saint. He's not going to get the run around the outside. He has to settle in through this great complex of corners onto the main straight. Very fast corner, undertaken at almost full throttle here for the under 2 litres to get that run onto the straight. And you can see Harris there trying to get in behind Saint, who's pulled out on Walden. He's going to flick sides here, see if he can drag race him down into turn 1. I don't think he's going to get there though. Walden looked like he probably had enough of a gap, but look at this, to the inside now goes Brad Harris, and he's going to get the job done on Phil Morris. And now on the outside, Will Harris is going to run around the outside here. Oh, a bit of a turn away in the mid-corner, but he's going to get there. And there you go, 2 of them shoot past Morris. I wonder if there's a little bit of trouble there for the Datsun. So Harris has made a great move there, and it looks like Jowett now is starting to put pressure on Graeme Cox out in front in the Cox's car setup Honda Civic. Got 3 Honda Civics leading the way as we go on board with Gavin Reynolds in the Western Concrete Contractors car. You can see the gap is thereabouts. He hasn't been able to close it, but he's not sitting very far behind these 2 guys at the moment, just a couple of seconds. So if they start battling, Gavin Reynolds will find himself right in there as we take a look further back at Williamson in the 86 car coming around the Toyota Sprinter. He's in the middle of this pack. Right up behind him is the Ford Mondeo of Jason Bockman. You can see just in front of him is the Ford Focus of Paul Redman. I think that is the unique Metal Art car. And this good little battle pack between these guys in the midfield as well. This is 16th through about 20th position. Just behind them, Jeff Hansen, who's trying to make his way through the field. Let's see if he has a look to the inside of Beckman, and just in the back of shot, not quite getting it done. So yes, in front of him is the unique Metal Art Paul Redman car. Ford Focus just sitting in front of Williamson. Looks like the Toyota Sprinter's got the run into this back section, though he might be able to make it happen. So we've got a couple of cars returning to pit lane. That's both of the Datsuns, Alan Saint and Phil Morris. So from out of the top 10, those 2 cars are heading for retirement, which is not the way they'd want to end this weekend. And you can see on the charge down the straight as well, it looks like Scott Dean in the Toyota Yaris is slowing. He has been passed by the Performance Thumpers car of Mark Hyde, the Ford Escort. So we take a look at this battle continuing here between the Focus and the Sprinter. Williamson versus Redman. Williamson looked like he had the run through the final complex, but he hasn't been able to do anything with it. As we come down the straight, a little bit of a twitch through Southern Loop. Now he needs to sit in behind and see if he can make the run. So it's a bit of a war of attrition in the early stages of this race, or the early stages this weekend, sorry. As we reach the late stage of this first sprint race, actually, as we look at the Harris brothers now, still fighting each other hard. Cooper in behind them. He's going to try to get a move done in the Integra. A few New South Wales cars all together here. Ben Algie just behind. He is sitting there with a bit of a watching brief as Harris comes through Southern Loop. On board with him here, you can see side by side between the 2 of them at Siberia, And now William Harris has to sit in behind Brad. They'll need to be careful not to fight too hard, because they will cause themselves to slow down as we come up over Lukey Heights. Look at the lift of the inside wheels for both of those Suzukis. Great to see the lift they're getting as they come over Lukey Heights and down into MG yet again. He's not going to get the move done, is he? Oh, he's going to try to give him a little bit of a nudge and side by side out of there. A little grin across to the brother, and he gets the move done. Action aplenty here at the IPRA Nationals. We'll be back after the break on Blendline TV. Welcome back to the 2016 Improved Production Nationals, presented by Castrol Edge this weekend. As we go out onto the final lap, Jowett up behind Cox. He's closed the gap slightly onto this final lap just to try to show Cox that he's there, you'd have to think. I don't think Jowett's got anything to throw at his New South Wales compatriot. They've dropped Gavin Reynolds off behind. The rest of the field fighting hard as well. We've seen some great battles throughout the field as they come down to Honda for the final time. Let's see Cox defending to the inside. We've also got a car stop. That's Anthony Wilkins stopped off to the side. Haven't noticed him before, but unfortunately for Wilkin in the Honda Integra, he is out of this race as Jowett continues to try to pressure Cox around Siberia for the final time of at least this heat. And what a way to start off these under 2 litre Improved Production Nationals, proudly presented by Castrol Edge and Yokohama this weekend. And the 2016 event is set to be a cracker. We should see some great battles between these two. You can be sure that Reynolds, Odell, Fontana, Jellin, Walden behind will be wanting to throw something at them in the later heats. As we come down towards MG for the final time, Cox is going to be able to bring this home. I don't think Jowett's got enough to make a run here, and he will just have to settle in behind and take those points, which are significant, even though you're going to be racing each other for all 3 heats. without a split grid this weekend, the under 2 litres will just race each other. It will dictate where you start in the final, so you need to collect those points still. They're just as important as ever, but it's going to be Graeme Cox draws first blood here at the 2016 Improved Production National Championships Island Magic event here, as Williamson now down the inside of Mark Hyde in the escort. So Williamson has passed him. It looks like the unique metal art car of Paul Redman is there. There's Bohm on the middle of it as well, and Jason Bockman is right there. So Graham Bohm is trying to get his way through this group. He's dropped back a little bit, you'd have to think, but now look at this, to the outside. He's got one. Let's see if he can make it around the outside of the sprinter as well. No, he's not going to do it. Bockman sitting in there with a watching brief, and now to the inside, Bohm on Williamson. Takes 2 positions towards the end of this race to launch himself up through the field. That's going to be for 16th spot at the checkered flag. I don't think he's going to be able to catch Redman just in front in the focus. Now we've got a car slowing. That's Fitzgerald slowing. So Fitzgerald going backwards as he crawls to the line, and this battle pack finishes off their race. Great to see Bohm managing to get the job done round the outside. They all hit the brakes down the chute to turn 1 yet again. As we take a look at the result, Graeme Cox takes the first victory here at the Castrol Edge Yokohama Improved Production Nationals. Bob Jowett, Gavin Reynolds rounding out your top 3. Time for Heat 2 of the 2016 Castrol Edge Under 2 Litre Improved Production Nationals. Just at the back of the field there, you can see Wade Reynolds in the Toyota Sprinter coming through the field. He did not start race 1 and will be looking to make a charge here in race 2. As we come down towards turn 1, Gavin Reynolds to the inside, trying to make something up the inside of Jowett. Not going to get it done as we swing around with Algie and Cooper there in the Integra. He's managed to get himself up a couple of positions. He was behind the Harrises at the end of the first heat of the weekend. Now he is in front of them with Algie, so obviously a good launch from the line for them. Walden's managed to get himself past Grant Gellin as well. So some changes at the front of the order as the rest of this field comes through. I just saw Troy Maven in the Ford Escort. He's right around Bockman with the Mondeo as well. So that little battle pack that we saw at the end of Heat 1 looking to re-establish itself in Heat 2 as Harris around the outside of Cooper. Gavin Reynolds has gone all the way off as we go on board with Brad Harris. Casato down the inside of him. Look at the way these guys are fighting in the early stages. Heat 2 of the weekend. Sunny conditions as opposed to the rain in the morning of Heat 1. And it looks like everybody trying to make hay while the sun shines, so to speak, to get these positions. Harris now trying to put pressure on Cooper. The Casato is in there as well. Just looking forward from Brad Harris here. You can see Casato in front of him in the Escort. He's going to try to hold it tight, get the move on him. Ian Price slowing in the background as well, so I'm not sure if he's not having a good opening lap in the Escort. As we come down towards MG corner, a little bit of a tap there from Harris onto the back of the Queenslander. Casato in front of him. Cooper's slow out of MG, and that's made everybody check up, and you can see Harris had a look to the inside, couldn't get the power though, he lost momentum, and now Casato looking to the inside of Cooper. He's not going to get the job done, and these guys are playing for keeps in the early stages of this heat. So it's all about making those positions, and everybody sniffs a chance here at the moment. There's only one more heat to come after this one for points, as now Harris, the other Harris in the Civic, around the outside of Gellin. Gavin Reynolds there, as well. And Ben Algie right there as well. So Ben Algie is going to be sitting in behind. He'll try to make a couple of positions. He's marched his way forward so far this weekend, and now to the inside of Gallon. And he looks like he might take that position away on the run to Casey Stoner curve. No, he doesn't. Not quite enough drive out of there. As we take a look further down this field and see the depth of quality in it. There's that battle pack from yesterday, and also storming through is Alan Saint in the 1200 Datsun 1200 Coupe. We just saw him go through shot. There he is to the inside, following Reynolds in the 86. They are trying to go to the outside of Williamson in another 86. Oh, a bit of a slide there for the 17 of Mark Hyde, and he has lost 2 positions. That's given Saint the opportunity to get through. So he's made the move stick, and Hyde lucky to hold on to that one and not cause any further issue for himself. You can just see in front of this group as well, there is the Integra of Anthony Wilkin has actually gone out in one of the Integras, but there is the other Integra of Darcy Wade there as well. The Midas car is just sitting just in front of this group. trying to hold them all off, as Maven now is the next on the list for Reynolds as he makes this charge forward. He's going to look to the inside now. Oh, takes a bit of grass and he's flicked the car around. Luckily, Williamson and Saint were able to avoid him there. But Reynolds facing the wrong way. Hyde sliding down the hill yet again. He avoids making any sort of contact. The 38 makes its way through as well. Just getting past without issue. Hop sliding wide. He's managed to not have to make contact there, as well as Reynolds now rejoins the race. MG corner being the point where he would lose out. And now he has to try to make that charge back through the field. Not what he wanted. As look at that, through the middle goes Harris. So Gellan slowing down. Harris around the outside of Algie. And Algie sits in behind. So Ben's lost out a position there as he looked to make one up. Harris has not got off the brake and he's just charged through the middle of them in what was an impressive move. William Harris really getting himself up in towards the top 8 cars here in this second heat of the weekend. And if there's anything to go by from this race, as Algie slides it out of Honda corner. But if this race is anything to go by, the whole weekend is going to be absolutely intense here for the improved production under 2 litre Nationals, proudly presented by Castrol Edge. We've got the Integra there of Cooper sitting in behind. Casato is there as well. And they're starting to spread out. Ian Price just behind them in the Ford Escort, out of shot, sitting inside the top 15. So great to see such depth of field and such quality racing all the way through it. It's hard to know where to look with 36 odd cars out on track. It just goes to show how strong under 2 litre racing is in this country as well. But we'll be back after the break here on Blendline TV with the 2016 Castrol Edge Improved Production Nationals. Welcome back to the 2016 Castrol Edge Under 2 Litre Improved Production Nationals here on Blendline TV. Leading the way still, Graeme Cox in the orangey red Civic, just leading the way on Bob Jowett. You can see there in the blue car coming through shot now around Siberia. Coming towards the end of this heat as well for these guys, and it looks like Graeme Cox is going to take maximum points. Jowett has just not been able to do anything about him, and Gavin Reynolds, who ran third in the other Honda Civic, has found himself mixed up in that battle. You can just see behind as they come through now. Oh, Harris well and truly off the track, so he's had a huge moment on the exit of Siberia as well, and that's going to drop Brad Harris a long way down the field, so something's happened to him. But Gavin Reynolds has found himself tied up in amongst the battles, and that's meant he's not been able to challenge his Honda Civic compatriots. As we see there, the 75 coming across the top, that's Brad Harris. Lost a couple of positions. William Harris up behind Ben Algie. And Algie trying to hold him off. You can see the run that Harris gets. Momentum is what it's all about in those Suzuki Swifts. And those guys wring the necks of them as well as they come around now for the final time. We've got out in front Graeme Cox, the last lap of the race. He's looking like he's going to be able to bring this one home. And to the outside, Bob Jowett tries to make a move. We saw it there in Heat 1 as well. He's not going to be able to do anything at the moment. He just has to settle in for now. Come around Siberia and see if he can close the gap and make the run up over the top of Lukey Heights. Look at the way the rear wheel lifts on Graeme Cox's car. Incredible setup, but he's getting speed out of it, lifting the rear wheel as he comes around Siberia and now makes the run up towards the top of Lukey Heights. And Cooper's run off as well, so Cooper's had an issue. It looks like Ben Algie to the inside, and Cooper just running a little bit wide and getting himself off as we see the replay there. And now back to the front though, Graeme Cox is going to take 2 from 2. Bob Jowett chasing him all the way home for second place. The pair of them never separated by much more than a second. As we go back and take a look at this battle between Alan Saint and Darcy Wade. Saint in the Datsun 1200 got himself up into 14th place now in front of Wade, who's sitting 15th in the Midas Capella car. The Honda Integra, he's looking to fight back. Wade, we're not seeing the speed out of him we probably expected this weekend. 15th place is no mean feat, but he'll want to try to fight back on Saint here. But it's been a great drive from Alan Saint to come from 32nd on the grid all the way up to 14th in just 5 laps. And his charge through in the Datsun 1200. Look for him to continue his way through in Heat 3 and maybe fight for the outright in the final. As we see a replay, Williamson backwards off the top of Lukey Heights in the Toyota Sprinter. So something's happened there for Ian Williamson, and he's found himself facing the wrong way. And now further back, and we have got Hop here fighting against Bruce Woodward in the Volkswagen VW Golf. Michael Hop, the Hare Engineering Toyota Starlet. These two cars, 1600 cc's. And the battle between them is on. Woodward has lost out here to Hop at the moment as he's going to try to make a run onto the main straight, you'd have to expect. Looks like Hop's got the gap though to be able to make it work and bring this car home in 29th place in the race. Well, look at this. Woodward now starting to claw his way onto the back of him. He has got the run onto the main straight. He gets into the draft and he's going to pull to the outside. Let's see who gets there first. Woodward and Hop side by side, and he's got there. Bruce Woodward in the VW Golf takes 29th position away, showing how good the battles are here in the under 2 litre field. So a quick look at the top 10 results now. Graeme Cox bringing home yet another victory. Bob Jowett in second. Simon Odell Fontana brings home third. Dave Walden fourth. Fifth goes to Gavin Reynolds. A great second heat here for the Castrol Edge Yokohama Improved Production Under 2 Litre Nationals at Phillip Island. We wait for the lights to come on. Cox will be looking to get the lead down into turn 1 and hold off Jowett yet again. We're away. Looks like a pretty even start at the front. Price is making move down the inside. We've got the other Escort going left. And now we spread out for the traditional fan down into turn 1.
So this is Cox and Jowett. They're leading the field down. They're side by side. Disappear into turn 1 there. There's a big move there. Casado. There's two Escorts, two Mark II Escorts there, just getting a little bit sketchy
surrounded
with each
by
other.
them.
Absolutely surrounded by them.
Oh,
77
a
of
lock-up
LG
Price.
also in there. The AE82 type car. We normally see that in drifting, that model car. Very popular these days. But doing a very good run out of turn 3. Two Escorts side by side. That's the number 7 and the 46.
Price has found himself on the outside of Jellin, who we saw lift that front wheel during the warm-up lap, so that car has a lot of twist in it, but he's using it to his advantage at the moment, though ultimately he's lost out the Price down at Honda. Price sideways, getting the power down. Everybody behind him having to check up. That's going to give the Harris boys a bit of a run, and you can be sure they'll be on a tear around the outside as we pick up a little bit further down the field with the 86 coming around. So that's Williamson.
Gee, I tell you what, Price runs the zero tolerance team there. He had a whole lot of opposite lock with a whole lot of tolerance there.
He's pushing hard. He wants to get towards the front. They've spent so much time rejuvenating that car for this weekend, and he's expecting to have a good run. So he's just trying to maintain his position in front of this battle as the Harrises now start to assault him. Here he comes down the inside, gets the move done. So that was a double Harris manoeuvre on two Escorts there. And I tell you what, they've done well between the two of them.
A couple of Swift GTs there. Brad and William we're talking about there, and the Harrises, there they are now, centre of screen. Oh, the number 39. That's the Honda of Anthony Wilkton. The Integra out of New South Wales is out. And that's on driver's left heading into Lukey Heights, past the hay shed. We've got a fire vehicle on the roll there as well, so not sure what that was about.
Jowett is starting to lose ground to Cox. Behind them is Reynolds, who's been trying to keep them honest all weekend. As we just have a look back through the field, there's Harris and Algie just behind. And now we're coming around with Walden and Odell Fontana. Walden very wide into Southern Loop. Looked like he got a massive amount of understeer and just couldn't pull the car up. But we'll be back after the break here on Blendline TV with the 2016 Castrol Edge Improved Production Nationals.
So we've got yellows being waved at the entry to Lukey Heights. Not a problem really. There's not a lot of passing moves you're going to be able to put on there. It's the plunge down into MG corner that will be the issue. Whether they've got a green flag at the top of the hill, let's hope they have. There's the number 19 now, David Walden, RX3. And the number 28 going through there as well, Matt Harris. And they're charging.
Harris trying to keep off Algie's front bar there as he was coming through Honda corner. He's pulled out a little bit on him, and Odell Fontana looks like he's closed up to the car in front of him to be able to put some pressure on Reynolds, that is. So this little battle for third place in the race is starting to come on strong now as Odell Fontana finds some speed and starts to put pressure on Reynolds. You can see the Civic locking up the rear wheel. Of course, a front-wheel drive car. You see a lot of front-wheel drive cars in under 2 litre, and that just the balance of the car shifting away from the rear wheels, and you get that lovely rear wheel lock-up, reminiscent of World Touring cars and British Touring cars there.
Yeah, it's certainly very stiffly sprung. I think the best way to make these cars work around Phillip Island is to be very stiffly sprung, and we'll see the likes of Bruce Woodward, who used to lift up their left-hand rear wheel at Southern Loop. He'd lift it up entering the corner. It'd still be there at the apex. and it's a double apex corner, and he just land the wheel down. It's like watching an aeroplane land with a smoke and plume, because the wheel will be off the ground that long and it'd stop spinning. So Bruce is down the middle to the back of this field at the moment, but some of these front-wheel drive cars, they can set them up so nicely that they lift that off, and you're basically getting less coefficient of drag.
That's it. You save on the tyre wear, maybe plunge those Yokohamas onto the front for the final, and you've had a good weekend for lower cost as Walden now starts to close up in that 10A RX3. So he's pushing hard. I think he's going to get a chance to go down the inside of Odell here. I think he's going to get it done. No, he doesn't have. Ultimately doesn't have a look. Decides to sit in and just wait another lap. He's going to run out of time though, because we're on lap 3 of 4. This race is going to be over quicker than you can blink really here.
So Algie's putting the pressure on now. Putting pressure on now, and looking for it to try and get through. Now we're coming out of turn 2. This is midfield.
Walter's there. He's trying to hold off the 93.
Is Gary Edwards, the
yeah.
30 BMW. So that's got the 4-cylinder in it, and it's to be under 2 litre. It might be a 2 litre 6-cylinder, in fact, actually out of a later E32.
And McKigan holding them off just in front. So a good little battle between these guys. They're fighting for 27th in the race. So you can see just way down the field that they're still having a battle that's intense as anybody else, swapping positions and ultimately not trading paint, doing a good job here at the Castrol Edge Improved Production Nationals. Looks like 3 wide from that angle as they come towards Hayshed. Walters has managed to get through, so he's made the move.
Doesn't matter where we look in the under 2 litres, there's battles going on where people may be new to the sport or they've been around a while and just don't quite have the reflexes that they may have had in the past. But Waters has got through now in the 36 and heads out after the chase very, very hard.
He's got a bit of a gap there, so it's going to be ultimately just trying to hold off these 2 behind him now to be able to get to the finish as the leaders have gone on to the final lap. So Cox with a pretty decent lead at the moment. He's got 1.2 seconds over Jowett, and Jowett's got 3.8 back to Reynolds. So you can see here there's a lot of daylight between them, and we might just see what some of the gaps look like here as we see Cox go round and head out to Siberia yet again. Hopefully this doesn't show too much what the, final's going to look like, because Cox has started to walk away out in front. He's managed to get himself into quite a comfortable lead. Jowett just backing off. I'd say he'd be maintaining that car for the final later today.
Yeah, look, these guys will be sort of line ball on points. They're going to be first and second anyway, so they're going to advance their way through to the main race for the under 2 litres. So
we've had Ian Price is off at turn 4. There he is back onto the track now, so not great for Ian. Sorry to cut across you there, Darren, but right. Price having a big spin and he's lost a few positions.
So Price, who was having a ripping run over the first 2 laps, just all that good work coming undone. Here's our race leader coming around what used to be called Belinda's Terrace a long, long time ago here at Phillip Island, and come around to BMW Corner and under that famous Melbourne Victoria sign. And this is a flying car. In fact, this guy could be injected into the overs 2 litres in the outright running this weekend for the National. He's that fast. Across the line he goes, acknowledges the flag. He'd be pretty happy with his run up to what is now going to be the main race for these guys later on today.
Yeah, that's their heats pretty much completed here, with Cox taking 3. So he's looking good going into the final as we go further around. I think Reynolds is holding off Griswold there. So Reynolds coming back through the field after we saw his charge during Heat 2, ultimately ending in a spin. And we're looking at the number 86 of Williamson here being chased down by Dean, who has that Corolla punching a little bit above its weight to be right up behind him. So a good battle between those two, bringing it home to the flags, and it looks like Williamson will hold on. They split side by side, but Williamson gets there at the line, and Ian Price just got home in front of Reynolds as well. So
where did Ian Price end up at the end? He's 15th. So it's Cox, Jowett, Reynolds, Walton, Odell Fontana, Harris, Algie in the 77 Toyota through there. Then it's Saint, Harris, Jellin, Custo, and boom, that rounds out our 10. Such a full grid of cars. Each time the improved production cars have hit the track this weekend, testament to the category nationally and how strong it is that they can come together for this one weekend a year and really put on a massive show. This is the under 2 litres brought to us by the Isola de Capri here for this race. Say good day to Eddie and the crew down in Cowes at the Isola de Capri. Great restaurant, great Italian food, and we've got a jumper in the back of the field. We won't worry about that because in 9 laps time It may not get there. We've got a staller there as well. Let's
car.
hope we don't get anyone hit that. There's yellow flags being waved, and away goes that Datsun 1200 coupe, but it is going to be
Cox who leads
it.
Into turn one, so he swings across the front of Jowett. There's Harris on the outside of Algie, who has managed to get a move on him. He'll be one to watch as well in the Toyota 86 because Algie generally gets a good run if he can get himself into a rhythm, and he needs to make up a few positions. You can see Walden there has got himself up to third place. So in front of Odell, Fontana and Reynolds has dropped back a couple of positions off the start. It's not been a good one for him at the beginning of this race. He'll have a lot of work to do as we come down towards Honda Corner for the first time. Jowett still having a look. He's going to the outside. He's not going to get it done there. And the rest of this big field comes on through.
Simon Odell, Fontana and Reynolds there trying to impress his cars in front of these two front-wheel drive cars. The red and the blue and all the Civics have been the absolute class of this field all throughout this weekend. And I'll tell you what, if you're a betting man and you put it anywhere other than on those guys, there's Paul Griswatz, current Victorian champion. Good to see him having a red hot go. He started out of 15th, I think it was, 16th in fact, and he'll be hoping to come on song now. As we look back down, this is the guys just inside the top 10.
Yep.
That's car number 8, Harrison Cooper. Another Honda
Harris
product.
down the inside. He got the job done on Cusato, so he slips back a position in the escort, and Harris continues this march forward. He's made up a couple of positions in this opening lap, and next on his list is Ian Price. So he's got to try to get up to him as quickly as he can to keep making up these positions. But at the front, Bob Jowett and Graeme Cox, are moving away. Their battle is going to be on very soon. We'll have a look at that towards the end of the race because there's so much going on in the mid-pack. Just look at these guys starting to fan out at the moment. There's Algie. Here we go. Back down the inside comes Cooper. Tries to make the move. Harris just went round him there, though.
Gee, this little Suzuki Swift GT is a weapon, isn't it? Goes out wide, and so wide that he spins.
He's gone.
There's the commentator's curse. Sorry about that, Will. But he gets a gear and continues back on with it. Front-wheel drive, and out he comes from there. Comes back on carefully. That's put himself well out of contention.
Yep.
We'd have to suggest for today and Nationals next year for him. But here's the battle. The 19 and the 26. So that's David Walden and Simon Odell.
With Reynolds behind. So this is the battle for third place in the race. Walden has managed to get himself a good launch after starting on the third row of the grid in 5th place. So he's managed to launch up to third as Jowett is starting to lose ground to Cox out in the lead, and Odell Fontana pushing incredibly hard past Asia there. He used all of the road and picked up a bit of grass, it looked like.
Yeah, this is a tough drive. This is a leaf spring rear vehicle, this thing he's driving out there, so that's a tough ask in itself to be pushing these around to be able to make the adjustments. The RX-7 goes through for the time being, and that RX-3 gets pushed wide. Is the 26 missed the gear or something then? Because now we've got the number 90 ranging up hard. That's Gavin Reynolds, who started off P3. He went backwards off the line and is now trying to fight back for what is rightfully his.
Yeah, he wants to get back up there. He's got a Civic like the 2 litres, so he probably expects that he should be able to run with them. Cox has obviously got the thing hooked up though. A 1 minute 45.9 for the first real flying lap, so he is on fire. He's managed to pull out 1.1 seconds already in this race. That's going to be close to some of the quickest laps we've seen around here.
Well, yesterday both these guys were down on the 1:45.88s, and let me tell you that is not just resetting the under 2 litre lap record. That's grabbing it and shaking it until it bleeds. That is really giving it a red hot go.
So we see the rest of the field coming through. There's our leaders. So Graeme Cox leads. Bob Jowett in 2nd place. Jowett, a New South Wales and national champion in the under 2 litre category. Graeme Cox trying to get it himself.
You know, these two guys in the Civics out in front of this race would qualify in the top 30 for the overs. The over toys. They are rapid pieces of kit.
They've run them a couple of times in the New South Wales series as a combined, and they have been running inside the top 10, top 5 on occasion. They have some speed, those guys, as we take a look at Reynolds now trying to work on the back of Odell Fontana, who has ultimately lost out to Walden. We saw Odell Fontana, make that move on Walden down into MG, and then he's now dropped back behind him as we take a look further back at the field. This is the number 86 Toyota 86 coming around. which is Williamson, and he is just behind. In front of him is Redmond, so a little bit of a battle between those guys.
So these guys are battling it out for position 17, 18, 19, 20 on the road. So not only is the pace blisteringly hot at the front, in fact the pace at the front is fast, but there's not a lot of attacking going on.
Yep.
This, what we're looking at now, is just maximum attack for every corner for arguing about 20th in this race.
That's it. Jowett's throwing everything he's got at it, as now 45.9 seems to be what Graeme Cox wants to run at, and he is just going for it. Behind him is Jowett, who's at a 46 dead. So Jowett's picked up his pace on the third lap of this race, but unfortunately it doesn't seem to be enough, as we see Griswold's now coming down the hill. Wade Reynolds there as well. Behind them is Troy Marvin in the Escort, and they are just on the bubble of the top 10, actually 15th place. So a little bit further down the field for those guys than we probably expected them to see, having understood some of the pace that they've had this year.
There's our race leaders now. They've got nearly half race. In fact, they'd have to be half race distance there. Finished now. 9 laps. A tidy little lead now for Cox. Last time round, 1.2 seconds over his fellow contender Bob Jowett. And these two guys are both New South Wales competitors, as I mentioned earlier. These two guys represent very well for their local competitions. There's Bruce Woodward. A crying shame to see car number 68 going so slowly down the straight. He's a great friend of the sport, is Bruce Woodward, and the VW Golf. But unfortunately, Bruce Woodward will play no further part in this race. And if you took the D out of his name, he'd be B Woo-Wah.
Woo-Wah has Price now in the Vantage Automotive Escort. He's trying to chase down that Integra in front of him, and he's been working away at this one for a little while. We probably, again, Price is one of those people that we may well have expected a little bit more from, and he's just going to have to try to claw his way up there. He's trying to catch up to Wade. As our leaders have come together now, so Jowett has closed in. He wasn't much quicker. He wasn't quicker on the last lap, so something must have happened to Cox through turn 2 at Southern Loop, you'd have to think.
Yeah, car's starting to move around. I wonder if he's tried to save a set of tyres for the end, and it's just starting to let him down. Either that, or he's just gone, let's just bring this race in a bit and we'll have a bit of a ding-dong battle all the way to the end just for Blendline TV.
That's it. Well, we know that Cox likes to show us.
There's
the wheel lift.
That's floating through the air. He's definitely trying. There's no doubt that he's trying when you do that.
You've got to love the way Cox likes to drive the car. The way he used to drive his Honda Integra, he's the only man I've seen come around Corporate Hill at Sydney Motorsport Park completely sideways, keep it on the island and stay in the lead of the race. So he doesn't mind the rear floating around on him a little bit. And look at the amount of body roll. I was surprised yesterday how much body roll his car has compared to Jowett's, but he's making it work, and that's all that matters.
They've both got a different theory on how to set these cars up. They're near identical to look at. There's Bruce Woodward just jumping over the fence in the background. It's a sad sight to see, and hope Bruce comes back next year bigger and better and stronger.
Here's Mavin and Dean having a bit of a battle. Mavin in the Escort, Dean in the Toyota, the car sales car. We saw him, he was just in front of Maven for a little while there, but now he's maybe dropping back. Of course, this is probably the longest lap race run time that these guys will have all weekend. So they've been used to 5-lap races, and you've got to go almost double the distance in this final race of the weekend. So there's a little bit more to do, and that some of these guys will probably be in a little bit of pain towards the end of this race as Dean fights back on the inside. Gets the job done down in MG.
Have a look at that little Toyota Yaris. This is what we've seen Liam Thompson and Alexandra Best running in the National Production Car Series, and they've done a ripping job with it all year long as well, driving for Lauren Gray Motorsport. But this car selling Yaris out there as well. They're fighting it out for 17th and 18th, those two. Paul Griswold's just up the road from them, and Fitzgerald as well. So they've got their own little battle, as have these guys. Now this is for the last step on the podium. So they've swapped. They've now swapped back again, and the red RX3 is driving away from the black RX7, but they haven't counted on the fact that Reynolds has been there on a watching brief for about the last 4 laps, hasn't he?
He's just sitting there. It just seems like if he could get the run, he would have something on them. And don't forget as well that Gellin is just behind them as well. So he will be looking to try to get himself up there if he can drag that Escort a little bit further up. He's the one we saw with a massive amount of wheel lift during the warm-up lap. I couldn't believe how high he was getting the front left tyre off the ground as Odell Fontana continues to chase Walden down. The RX3 proving a little bit stronger through the flowing section of the circuit, but Odell Fontana seems to have a better ability at braking. As we're now looking further back at Wade under pressure from Price. We were just talking about this. Price needed to put a little bit of power down and get some lap times together to claw his way up to Wade. He's done the job, but buying in behind it is Bohm and also Saint. So we've got a 4-car battle for, what is this? 10th in the race. So the edge of the top 10, they're still fighting just as hard as our leaders.
They come around the top part of the track, traditionally known as Belinda's Terrace. Look it up if you want to know more about the history of the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. Steeped in history, 60 years, and we've got one of those great days of motorsport here today that we'll all remember. Were you there for the 2016 Improved Production Nationals? My word, we were. And we'll look it up on YouTube and we'll watch it all again on Blendline TV.
As Price just leads Saint over the line and ultimately gets passed by him. A few of these under 2 litre cars are really putting on a show, and one of them is Saint, who's working his way through the field. He probably deserved to be higher up than he is at the moment. Our 2 litres, there's a 2.5 second gap between the pair of them, so Cox is starting to draw out in that one, and he may well be our 2016 national champ with just a couple of laps left in it. It's so strong, his under 2 litre racing, that they've been able to have their own race meet. And Saints managed to get the job done on Wade.
Or has he?
While we were looking down, now Wade fights back on the outside.
That's a menacing little Datsun.
And he's got there.
Very menacing looking little Datsun 1200 coupe there. He's doing a fantastic job. Gee, Adam Macro raced one of these here in the local scene in the late 90s and was very, very successful.
That's
of course,
it.
Went on to race supercars and the like.
Look
at him drive away now.
Yeah.
Saint, he's got the fresh air in front of him and is out after it. So might not get himself a podium, but he's trying to cement that top 10 finish.
Now he's managed to get past. He might be able to work his way into the top 10. The cars in front are not too far away. And Bohm now to the outside of Price. Price with a little bit of lock-up. That's a New South Wales battle, and Bohm gets the position away. Let's not forget, New South Wales has a very strong under 2 litre contingent, and there are many cars who haven't made the trip down who may well have been fighting with a few of these guys. There's been talk of it on the live stream because, of course, with Cox and Jowett up the front of under 2 litre, you also have a few other guys who are right there week in, week out. That's why I'm surprised about Algie, because he's been he's been right there with them all year fighting hard. And so you've got to think of people like that.
That can just be history with the track.
That's
track
it.
It can really surprise you when you go down the straight the first time. The speed that you're going, I would suggest most of these guys don't know the speed, but you just need to look halfway sideways out the car to understand you're going faster than you ever have before around the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. And the good thing here is that the consequences aren't that bad. Although you're travelling fast, there's massive runoff areas, there's hard stands, so you can continue on to bat another day. Here we've got the guys
Cooper
running it out, and this is inside the 10, so this is 7 and 8 on the road.
That's it, we've changed.
We've
got somebody off.
It's the Focus.
72, that is Redman. He's from 21st in the race, retiring. So that's the end of his race. He will pull out another one. There's Cooper continuing to work on the back of Algie as we come to the end of this race. They're coming towards the final lap now, our leaders. So we'll fight and pick them up. Out in front by 2.7 seconds is Cox. He's just going to run away with this one, you'd have to think. And
got that great looking livery on the LG car. It really does fill the screen nicely.
Kind of a throwback to the Shell DJR cars, isn't it? As he now comes across hot.
In fact, I think that is a nod to a livery on this. Yeah. It's just, I might be thinking of the Works Gazelle out of Nissan. So this is a Toyota, so it won't be that one. Yeah. But it's a similar look. He's just taken a good run onto the straight.
Yep.
And this is for 7 and 8 on the road, and we're in our final lap now. Graeme Cox, who hasn't really been headed this weekend.
Yep, Cooper's going to go to the inside here and get the job done as we come round to turn 4. That's Graeme Cox, our leader, the number 11 car. As we see him from inside, you can just see the lift from Siberia angle, the lift he had.
Gee, the stiffly sprung car of Cox has certainly had the wood over. Jowett seems to have gone the other way. This guy's got very stiff. It seems to be very rigid sway bar setups. Whereas this guy in the blue car with his indicator on, politely letting people go through, has seemed to have gone the opposite direction. Seems to have himself set up almost like for a wet race here today, which could have happened, but didn't.
Look at the lift coming from Cox as he comes over Lukey Heights. It's got to be a celebrationary lift over Lukey Heights for the final time. Down to MG. Graeme Cox from New South Wales is going to be the under 2 litre champion. I tell you what, he's wanted this one for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
At Wakefield Park, he came close, but did not quite have it in the Honda Integra. He went out and brought this Civic. He's spent a lot of time developing it with his son Jordan here at Phillip Island, and it's all paid dividends for him. He's going to be our 2016 Castrol Edge National Champion. What a race from Graeme Cox.
Yeehaw! Well done, Graeme Cox. That's the under 2 litre National Champion. Decided. Second will be Jowett, and I tell you what, a really due second. He's done a ripping job trying to keep up with Cox all weekend long. Now let's cast our eyes down at the timesheets, because we've got third across the line now, which will be car number 19,
Bone
David
is locked
Walden.
up on our screen. Sorry, Darren. Bone had the rears locked as he tried not to slide into Wade in front of him. They're pushing Fitzgerald to the line, and here we go, coming around. This is for, what is this for in the race? About 12th place, sorry. So 12th, 11th and 10th. So this is for the final spot in the top 10, and Fitzgerald has found himself behind Hop. It's going to be a drag race between Wade and Fitzgerald to the line. Fitzgerald and Wade door to door. Wade's going to get him, and yes, he does. Just gets past him to the line. Great racing from all of our guys there. Ian Price just in behind them as well in the Zero Tolerant Motorsport car. And the under 2 litres yet again deliver a nice clean race. What a championship effort.
What a great run there. Graeme Cox, congratulations. Bob Jowett, I tell you what, come back next year, Bob, because we want to see you on the Nationals in under 2 litre again. You've acquitted yourself very, very well indeed. But Cox has had the wood all weekend. Then we go to Walden in the little RX3. That absolutely makes my heart beat stronger. That's fantastic to see. RX3 still podium in under 2 litres in the Nationals. Then we go to Reynolds. Simon O'Dell Fontana in the RX7. Gallen home in 6th. Cooper in 7th. Then it's LG in 8th. Saint in 9th. And Casado home in 10th. So that rounds out our under 2 litres for the 2016 Nationals.
We have a couple of little awards. Best presented under 2 litre car. And that'll be Craig Waldridge. I hope you didn't buy one of them. Well done, mate. Would you like to say something?
Just like to appreciate the efforts everybody went to organise this event, and a big thanks to my son and daughter for making the car look what it does. Thanks very much.
Third place for the Nationals is David Walden.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Well done, Dave.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks very much. It's absolutely fantastic weekend. I'd like to thank IPRA Vic for organising a tremendous event. I mean, it's Phillip Island. I just want to move down here. It's the best circuit in Australia. Thank my wife, Jackie, for coming along, because even if my car blows up on Friday, she just makes me have a good weekend anyway. Thank all you guys out there. I mean, it's been a great weekend. Everybody helps everybody. There's no problems. It just ends up a terrific weekend. So thank you.
And second outright in the under 2 litre is Bob Jowett. Well done.
Yeah, well, first of all, I'd like to thank IPRA Vic, because you've put on a fantastic show and event. Castrol Edge, Yokohama Tyres, Traction Tyre Service. And Tony, I mustn't forget Tony, my pit crew, my one and only pit crew. But most of all the competitors, because the spirit that we've had, or there's been throughout, has been fantastic. We all want to win, but we're also encouraging each other to go along. And it's been really close, hard racing. Thanks, Graeme, You did a great job. Couldn't catch you. You were the better man on the day. Well done. Thank you very much.
And our Yokohama Tyre Castrol Edge under 2 litre champion for 2016 is Graeme Cox.
Thank you.
Well done, mate.
Well, thanks everyone. Wonderful weekend. IPRA Vic and IPRA Australia wide, everyone for supporting this event. Well done. Great to see you all. Great to catch up. Got some thanks to Jeff Fear in Sydney, who's helped me with this car immensely, and my son Jordan Cox, who helped set it up. So we've had a lot of trouble with this car. Finally got it here today without changing a gearbox or a clutch or something major, and we had a lot of fun. Great racing against people, and my friend Bob Jowett, because he pushes me and I push him, and he's a wonderful competitor to race against. And thanks one, thanks all. So.
That's it for the 2016 Under 2 Litre Improved Production Nationals, proudly presented by Castrol Edge and Yokohama here on Blendline TV. We hope you've enjoyed all the action until 2017. I'm Daniel Beckinsale. Thanks to Darren Smith for joining me. Bye for now.